Ever had a storm hit and think, "Man, what a freaking nuisance?" Or to the other extreme, oh, no, what are we going to do now? Anything from, losing the power for a couple hours to finding out your spouse was cheating on you, or you cheating on them and getting caught, or getting fired from a job, or losing a great big client that was a big part of your business. How about an unwanted pregnancy or an STD? What about even getting thrown in jail, or learning that you've got a diagnosis that starts with C, or getting injured and having a torn Achilles or ACL? Or what about even getting thrown in jail suddenly? So if you're facing any of those types of things, or you know that something's coming. I mean, let's face it, storms are on the horizon, whether they happen right now or they're coming. You know that they're coming. This video is for you. And what we're going to talk about, I'm going to give you the 3 biggest secrets that have kept me calm during the biggest tragedies in my life, and just keeping my cool. And also I'm going to give you 3 different perspectives that will let you leverage these trials and setbacks into your own business to give you leads, sales, and prosperity and abundance. And I know that sounds kind of interesting, but that's what I'm going to share you. And but before we do, I'm going to talk about the 2 types of storms. One is you get a little bit of a fair warning, and the other one is you get no notice. These are easy to talk about or to recognize in the past, but whenever you have ones that you've got a little bit of a warning, like Noah, let's say Noah in the building an ark, God told him, look, I'm going to send a flood, and I forget how long he had. I mean, we could go and look, I could look it up, but he had years and years and years to prepare and build the ark, but he knew it was coming. And you know that there are certain situations that are coming for you. So these are, the types of storms. The other ones are, it could be a tsunami, a sudden diagnosis, car accident, an injury, stuff like that, where you just have no notice. And they could be real quick and come and go, or they could be sustained, again, like Noah's flood, where he had to stay on his ark for over a year before he could get out. And then you're talking about stuff that just happens in an instant, and you're impacted for the rest of your life, like a tornado, and it could be anything from physical and weather related, or emotionally related, physically related, and those kind of things. But we're talking about things that just happen right now, and they're here and gone, versus things that are sustained. And then the severity of it, where we're talking a couple hours of being inconvenient, a couple hours where the power's out, something that's more catastrophic, like malady. I don't want to say the word, but it starts with C, stuff like that. Having maybe even losing a limb or losing a loved one, that are just sustained and catastrophic, and perhaps even a storm where you're wiped out and you can't, like the floods in North Carolina, people can't just live there anymore. But these are the types of storms, and whether or not you're actually prepared for them. I mean, obviously it's one of those things, if you've got some foresight or been spoke to by God, like Noah was, where stuff is coming, and you're blessed. But at the end of the day, it all boils down to having some perspectives. And I'm going to just erase this. I know my thing is going to be a little tough to keep the line, but those are the types of storms. But the perspectives that you want to have are, at the end of the day, you just want to say to yourself, whether you're prepared or not, most people are going to be, woe is me, I'm a victim. Whether it's I want to get to this other part here, but it's basically a decision on how you choose to perceive it. And it's really, at the end of the day, most are this way, but how I've looked at things is everything is going to be okay. I'll give you an example. I was 30 years old, and I felt a lump in the back of my neck. It wasn't a blemish, tumor, or anything like that, but didn't hurt. There was a situation where my dad had an ingrown hair bugging him. He just went to the doctor and had it removed. And I remember this whenever I was a little kid. And so I kind of thought, well, I wonder if that's an ingrown hair. I'll just have it taken out like my dad did whenever I was little. For whatever reason, that just stuck with me, right? It was just there. I mean, that memory, God implants seeds and clues and foreshadows in our lives that if we pay attention, a lot of times after the fact we'll recognize them. But this was one of those ones for me where I just felt it and was like, all right, man, that's just got to go. Went to a doctor. He said, here's a couple antibiotics. Take these for a couple of weeks. If that doesn't go away, come back and see me. I'll take it out. Okay, took the medicine. Came back a couple weeks, it was still there. And he's like, well, it's in a spot where, I don't feel comfortable myself taking it. I'm going to refer you to a surgeon. I was like, all right, book the appointment. In the meantime, I got a promotion to move to a town. I don't know, it wasn't 100 miles away, but I was going to be physically moving. So I made the appointment, and it turned out that I was actually moving the day that I had the appointment with the surgeon. And I'm sitting in the waiting room, and this guy is putting me off, and I'm getting delayed, and I'm sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. And I'm talking an hour goes by, 2 hours go by, and I'm thinking, I gotta move. I'm moving. I don't want to get down there, and not have any place to put my stuff or whatever. Have to get a hotel and all that kind of crap. Finally, the doctor calls me in and goes, hey, sorry, I had an emergency appendectomy. Apologize. So he calmed me down because I was getting a little annoyed. So he puts me face down, starts slicing, and I hear him mumbling with the nurse, and some peculiar things is what he was saying. He stitched me up, stood me up, said, we're going to send this out for a biopsy. I'm not going to tell you it's not cancer. And I thought, what kind of a thing is that to say? He's like, if you don't hear from us in a couple weeks, give us a call and to find out what's going on. So a couple weeks go by. Make a phone call. Yeah, we don't have any results back. Meanwhile, I had moved completely different town, actually from Northwest Pennsylvania down to Morgantown, West Virginia. And so I am working, doing pretty good. Things are going well. And I get another week goes by. I get a phone call. Mr. Bridge, we need you to go see a doctor right away. You've got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I'm like, doesn't sound good. What is that? Well, you have cancer. And I was like, right. So that kind of, I think back at that, and I don't remember exactly how I reacted. I told my parents because I was 30 years old and at the time, and they were pretty supportive. And, I just remember thinking the only thought that I thought was, I'm going to beat this. Let's eradicate this and be done with it and move on. And at the end of the day, it's been however long, 26 years now that happened. But I didn't look back, and I rarely talk about it. But you can kind of see where the treatment for the radiation and all that kind of stuff was. But that's where the mindset that you want to have. A lot of things will affect you based on your outlook and your attitude. And with this kind of an attitude, no matter what happens, at the end of the day, it'll be okay. That's kind of the thing that you want to have. The other thing is, it could be your fault, could be someone else's fault, it could be nobody's fault. So, I mean, like, let's just say, if it's your fault, let's talk about David and Bathsheba. David, kills Bathsheba's husband and goes on and takes her for his own. And it's one of those where some bad things happen as a result of that, and some bad things are going to happen as a result of things being your fault. And others, it could be someone else's fault, like someone did you wrong, and you want to blame them. It's all their fault, and I want to get them back and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it could be nobody's fault too. However, regardless of all this, it's your responsibility. Your responsibility. Let's say, I don't know, let's say you got fired from your job. Well, it may or may not be your fault, but if it's not your fault and you didn't do anything wrong, at the end of the day, you chose that job. And so now you have to face the situation where you now get to focus on the future instead of looking back. And that's what the bottom line is. You got to look forward and take responsibility for it, regardless of what happens. I'm a Penn State fan. Just recently, James Franklin got the axe because he lost 3 games in a row. Thank goodness, finally he was gone. And the players could be, woe is me. It's whoever's fault. Well, here's the simple facts. You chose to go to this school. You chose him. You chose to stick around and decide and want to win a national championship. Those aspirations are gone, but from what you do from here going forward is all up to you. How you redeem the season is all up to you. How you play the rest of the season is all up to you. It has nothing to do with whoever the coach is. It's irrelevant. Now, the other thing too, give you a perspective on this, is your solution to, why do I keep spelling this stuff wrong? Your solution to these problems, to this situation, can be the source of and provide you with the path, and all these past things could give you the path to your purpose, and it can provide you with a solution that you can share, and at the end of the day, it gives you prosperity and an abundance that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise. It can give you a position where without these things having happened, you wouldn't be in a better spot. And sometimes this only happens because sometimes these good things only happen because of the bad things that have happened. And it's, again, it's all a perspective, and that things will be okay. And it's not just lip service. It really is the case. And whenever you focus on the solution and let divinity intervene, praise God, and seek a solution, seek a way out, a lot of times you'll get, even in the middle of a night, a download, sometimes that you can even feel, that will give you the solution to the calamity, to the problem, that will enable you to give it away, and again, leverage it to the point where it's giving you abundance and prosperity that you wouldn't have had otherwise. And so these principles that I'm going to share are, where did I put that daggone thing? Oh, yeah. And then, so here's the principles that I want to give you. One is this: there's no negatives in situations. There's only, and this is negatives. There's no negatives. I guess there could be. The woe is me crowd are going to look at things as being a negative. But at the end of the day, really, there's only forks in the road where you can decide if it's negative or if it's a positive. And you may not be able to see whether it's a negative or positive, but I submit to you that no matter what happens to you, all things are Romans 8:28. Look it up. I need to get better at memorizing verses, but all things are created for good for those who are called according to his purpose. It's along those lines. So, and it's, like I said, it's not just lip service. And I'm going to put 4 down here, but I'm going to actually call this 1A and make this 3. This is 2. You don't have to like it. That's beside the point. You don't have to be comfortable. It's not supposed to be comfortable, and you don't have to like it. But what you do have to do, no matter what, is accept where you are, because if you're always looking back and trying to go back to where you were, sometimes whenever transformations like this, not sometimes, whenever transformations like this happen, there is no going back. I dislocated my knee whenever I was in college playing basketball. I went up for a rebound, came down, and my knee broke. Thank God I can still walk, because whenever someone dislocates their knee, a lot of times it's amputated because the nerves and the veins and arteries are severed to the point where they're unrepairable. And so praise God that I still am able to walk. And I can think of that as there's something good about it, and I'm not sure what it is. I guess it's focused me on not playing basketball anymore and doing other things. I mean, I have people to this day that say, hey, you should come down and play basketball with us. I'm like, well, no, you're out of your mind, because I watch you guys twist your ankles, stub your toe, or stow your fingers, and all that kind of crap, and I just have no time for that anymore. So perhaps that's why I broke my knees, because if I was still playing basketball, I might be getting jacked up and being immobile and not being able to play golf. So no need to like it, but you just need to accept it and move on and look for the positives, because they're there. And then there are the people that are going to be around you. Like I said, whenever there's going to be, 4 types of people. Whenever there's situations like this, there's going to be hunters. They're the ones that are looking to do you harm. They're going to be the guys that are perhaps a trial attorney looking to, throw you under the bus because you injured someone in a car accident. It could be the guys that are enforcing, a warrant for your arrest and hunting you down to put you in jail. These are going to be the guys that basically are not your friends. And then there's going to be the haters that are going to watch what's going on and cheer. They could be the folks that, like me, who are glad James Franklin is gone. I don't want to say that I'm a hater. I don't hate the guy, but I'm glad that he's gone. But these are going to be the guys that are cheering on your demise. And then you're going to have the helpless people that are, for lack of a better word, I mean, I'll just leave it at that. They're helpless. They're going to be the watchers too, where they're indifferent to what's going on, but they're a class of the people that are going to be around to watch the storm, to watch or be non-player characters. Let's put it that way. And then you're going to have helpers. I told you they're going to be the ones that help you see the way out. I told you whenever I was in college, I broke my knee. I dislocated it. It's pretty bad. I was in an intramural game. Went up for a rebound. I could jump pretty high back then, and I remember going up between 2 guys to try and get this ball, and they hit me, and I got off balance, and I came down and planted my leg, but my weight was to the point where, I don't know, I just don't remember. I just remember landing on my left foot, and my leg giving out from under me, and it just broke. I just remember screaming. And I don't remember the pain. I think whenever you go into shock, the pain gets cut off. But there had to have been some pain. I don't know what thoughts even to this day run through my mind. But I do remember someone grabbing me while I was on the floor screaming and saying, "Man, take it easy. It's going to be okay. I got you." His name was Brett, I found out later. But he kind of just was holding me until the EMTs arrived. And I remember just hyperventilating. And you think about it, they wanted to put a bag over your mouth. I think hyperventilating helps the oxygen get into your bloodstream so fast that it helps do a number of things to help you keep something. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. But in any case, I just remember his name to this day. There's not a lot of guys from college whose name I remember. A lot of my good friends I do, but they weren't the ones that were playing with me. And this guy was actually even on the other team, if I want to share that too. He was an opponent. He wasn't my team member. My team members were just kind of awestruck and just were standing there not knowing what to do. But this guy was a helper. There will be guys in that situation that will lead you out of the darkness, if you will, if you're in a spot like that. And then the last thing I talked about being transformed, whether it's physically, mentally, physically in location, physically your body, mentally transformed, spiritually transformed. The transformation is going to happen after a storm, especially if it's catastrophic or that kind of thing. But know that anything that gets broken, in order to get some strength, you have to either be broken or put under stress to gain strength. And that's what you can look forward to, is that you will get stronger. You will be transformed. You will be a better person. You can be a better person. You may be better if you're, again, in this crowd, the woe is me crowd. But if you're in this crowd where you're looking for the positives and you're looking for the solution to share later on down the road, it's going to be a situation where you could be like Myron Golden and have had polio whenever you were a youngster, and have that be something that slows your mind down to the point where you are then able to share unbelievable things like he does. And one of the things is that, in order for you sometimes to see doors that are it's supposed to be a door, in order for you to see doors that are open, some doors have to be shut, right? Because if we're still looking at the past, a lot of times you're not going to be able to see the opportunities that are in front of you as a result of something bad happening. And one of the other things that I would say to you is that sometimes evil that happens, God intends for good. If I were a little bit more prepared and didn't want to just get this video done, I would have some examples for you. But I would submit to you again, Myron being the case, there are plenty of instances where you can look for it, but I would submit to you that that's the case. But okay, so here's your action step. You get to choose, and that's your action step. Choose victim or victor whenever calamity hits. Do you look for the positives and opportunities, or do you try and unlock the closed doors that are never going to be open? And that's my invocation to you, to go and seek the open doors, seek the opportunities, seek the blessings that are as a result of the storms that happen, whether it's a literal tsunami or a market crash or a diagnosis or someone doing you ill will. Look for the benefits in going forward, and let them be that blessing. Let them be that. In fact, I'm David Bridge Jr. I hope this video serves you. If it does, share it, comment. Let me know some of your storms in the comments, and I'll see if I can't give you a word of encouragement. Till next time.